A few weeks ago, I was in my bedroom shooting a video where I opened a storage shelf that I hadn't touched in years. And as a result of it not being opened, it had become an unintentional time capsule for all the things I was interested in, both as a child and during much of my adolescence. Unfortunately, the reason why I never uploaded that video was because me, being an idiot, racked focus to something I was showing the camera and forgot to change it back, leaving pretty much a majority of the footage, a good 2/3 of it, completely out of focus. Go me. As I looked over the various books and keepsakes and mused for the purpose of the video over the various things that held my interest as a child, there were two things that were constant. One was a love of storytelling, as seen with the various scripts, stories, storyboards, and other writings I had done through my adolescence, as well as the various bits of film memorabilia like the King Kong production diaries or the shooting script for Merlin. But the other constant was a fascination with the martial arts, as seen with my subscription to Black Belt magazine, various martial arts books that I had owned, some that were reputable, others that were clearly meant for children. Between shows like Power Rangers and Dragon Ball Z, video games like Way of the Samurai and Soul Calibur, as well as a hobby of collecting various martial arts weaponry, it's something that I've always been fascinated by for as long as I can remember. Naturally, the two interests would intersect as I got into filmmaking. I remember as a kid making these little fight demo videos with my brothers using the Digital Blue camcorder. It was a camcorder meant specifically for children. You would shoot your footage, you would hook it up to the computer, you'd put it in the software, you'd edit it, add visual effects, which was the main draw, and then you would show it off to your family, and it's like, hey, look at this cool little movie I made. Unfortunately, none of those short films I made using that camera survived, because this was back in the Windows 98 days. I mean, exporting videos for another player wasn't really a thing. Online video wasn't a thing. There was no YouTube back then. And so digital distribution just wasn't a thing, and so the toy wasn't really designed for that. I carried my interest in filmmaking and martial arts with me through junior high and then on to high school. The very, very first script I ever wrote as a script was actually a martial arts film. It was for a filmmaking contest that was being held by the high school that I would then go on to attend, East Hollywood High. Unfortunately, I couldn't get enough people on board. At my junior high, they wouldn't let me shoot it. They said that it was too much of a liability, gave me the whole lecture about insurance, so I had to pull the plug, despite getting a lot of students on board with the idea, and also not having the kind of equipment I needed because I couldn't make those right connections, so naturally I pulled the plug. But I then tried to make that same short film during my freshman year in high school, but unfortunately, in addition to it being very complex and posing a number of personal and financial risks, I was a socially awkward weirdo who looked like he was one bad day away from appearing on an episode of America's Most Wanted. Do people watching this even remember that show? God, I feel old. Since I've been doing a great deal of self-reflection lately, I've decided to go back to my roots and look over the numerous martial arts movies that I happen to own. And what better month to do it in than the month of March, which is named for Mars, the Roman god of war, whose name is the basis for the word martial in martial arts, or the arts of Mars. That, and I just can't resist the alliteration. I mean, it writes itself. Once again, taking a page from a much more successful content creator, Martial March is going to function similarly to James Rolfe's Monster Madness videos. However, instead of reviewing horror films, our focus is going to instead be on martial arts films. I was initially going to do 31 videos and start uploading them on March 1st, but, as is the case, life kinda got in the way, so I got set back. So instead, I'm simply going to settle for doing as many reviews as I can before the month is over. Some of them may be films you've seen before, some of them you may not have even heard of before, but either way, it's going to be a good time. Tune in tomorrow for the very first review of the month, but until then, I'll see you all next time.